the deepest.
Here it goes, here it goes, here it goes again. And welcome to Split the Defense, Leafs post-game, presented by Laforest Electrical Contractors, serving Kingston and the surrounding area since 2004. I'm Webby with CP and producer Ted in the booth. Thumbs up this episode, subscribe to our YouTube, leave us a comment, and catch us in podcast form anywhere you listen to podcasts. We're going to sum up Game 29, Leafs versus the Anaheim not-so-mighty Ducks. Leafs 3, Ducks 2. Leafs outshot them. Leafs outscored them. Expected win, not expected win. I don't really know because they usually lose to these teams, but it was a good night. They won. All in all, they won. They held on. What do you think, CP? Who do you got for a first star?
I think first star, you got to give it to Patches. You know, coming off injury, and he obviously found his touch tonight. So, I think other than like both goalies, I think played decent when they were in, and the defense I thought had a pretty good game as well. So, but yeah, I'll give it to Patches. Nice to see that second line just playing so well, all night long, especially in the third, just kept on coming. So yeah, they played like they were the first line, and I mean, the top two in general, actually, just both of them. I felt Matthews and Marner should have had a couple as well. This is a game where I think the score is much closer than the actual game it played out. It wasn't a perfect game from the Leafs, and you maybe want to see them come and dominate a team and put a lot on the board. But I thought the Ducks 2 goals they got, one I thought Stolarz just basically should have had. And then the other one's a flip through the middle, and I think it hits jumps around a bit before it gets to wall, and that goes in. So I thought otherwise, pretty clean game.
Lucky is what he says.
Yeah.
So special guest producer Justin Miller, who's always in here, the comment section, says won, but at what cost? And that's got to be where we start. Yeah. Anthony Stolarz does not return after the first period. What the hell happened there, CP? Did you see anything that happened? Because I didn't see what happened, and I wanted to think Stolarz again. I didn't expect him. I thought Woll was going to play, but I guess they were playing the hot hand. Maybe it's a revenge game, but do you think it was a mistake starting him back-to-back now that he's gotten hurt?
Well, I think they definitely pinpoint the play where he hurt his leg, maybe knee. It's hard to really say what it is, but there's a play where he's putting way too much pressure on one leg, or I shouldn't say too much pressure, but a lot of pressure on one leg. And then Sutton goes and he instantly shakes it off, stands up, and, he plays through the rest of the period. But I think that is the moment. And as someone who played a lot of basketball and now hence has really bad knees, I have those moments a lot where, I'm doing a little bit too much on one knee and then it pops and then I got to get up, and, it's a little bit of a, something, and he is a guy that's had a knee problem. So I think that I don't know, I don't want to read too much into it until it comes back of what it actually is, because it could be nothing. I don't want to get over it, but at the same time,
he had a knee problem, but that was years ago. He hasn't dealt with that in years.
That's fair, yeah, but he also he hasn't played a ton of games overall. This is where things go from things looking great for the Leafs goalie wise to okay, now maybe we've been overplaying one goalie and we have another goalie who's just who's prone to being injured, and it's the glass house looks amazing when it's fully built, but it might crumble pretty quickly.
Well, this is exactly why we don't trade one of these guys to Colorado.
Right.
Somebody who needs a goalie. It's we got two good ones because one of them is going to get hurt. It's almost bound to happen. So, hopefully Stoley's not out long, but it's not good to see. And I do wonder, like you say, playing him too much, or I was surprised playing him back to back. But like I said, is it a revenge game? Maybe it's Berube said at the beginning of the year. He's going to play the hot hand. There's definitely reasons behind why you'd play him back to back and not keep going back and forth. But they've done a good thing here, it felt like, and it was I guess the reasoning that they talked about on the panel was like there's 2 games this weekend, so you have to play Wool back to back. You'd have to play Wool 2 out of 3 games, and you don't want to do that. So you'd rather play Stoli 2 out of 3 games, which is understandable, except for now you're going to be playing Wool and Hildeby.
Right. Yeah, like I think it's a little shocking if last game wasn't such a like a crazy performance from Stolars, then like I wouldn't even like look at it twice. But having like a game where like you're closing in on 50 shots in a game, kind of stood on his head for the team. Like I don't know, like is it a rewarding him, giving him the game, or is it like kind of going with the hot hand? Is it looking too far ahead? They've like we've seen that they're like they've been willing to go back to back with either goalie before. Like this isn't the first time they've done this, so I don't know. Like I think that it's retrospective, but is going back to back not the solution for goalies that haven't had a full workload. Like even like for Stoli, like he's like played the 24, but how many back-to-back games has he even played in his career? Like not a ton.
I think Nick Kiprios put it best on the panel tonight, and he said like tonight was the test, and it was to see is Stoli a tandem backup guy or can he be your starter? And it unfortunately it didn't work out. One game can sway the public opinion, and this was the game, and he got hurt, and he played, he's been playing a lot, and whether he comes back quickly or not, I mean, it certainly would have been a determining factor had he played the whole game and won and done well. We all would have thought Stolarz definitely is our starter. He's the guy, because they're the guy who they're going to push. He's the guy who they're going to push through the 2 of 3 games, not Wool. Right? They're worried about his injury. They're worried about his future. And he may be the goalie of the future, like we've talked about, but Stoli's the goalie of now. He's here. He's got a contract. He's being paid decently, and he's performing. So play him. And I wonder if maybe they overplayed their hand. But the top line themselves, I just wanted to move on here. The top line, sure. It's dominating. Do we keep Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews together at this point? Like Maddie's getting chances like crazy. They haven't buried. They didn't like score tonight, but they're owning every single shift out there. They're making shit happen. Like, I know we're going to have to jump into the other side of the other line in the top 6 here, but like there's a pretty big argument to keep these guys together at this point after wanting to split them up for so much time. Is there not?
Yeah, like I wasn't shocked that like as soon as they put them together that one game and then it was just magic, like I wasn't surprised that now we've been sticking with it. And like you said, like they're not like putting a ton on the board, but it does look good. And like part of it is just the fact that like they're so good on defense and that you can put them out against anyone and just be so confident that sure, like if you're out there and you're matched up against the best in the world, you're not going to like, there's still going to be goals in when they're out there. But I just feel so comfortable when they lose the puck, they can win it back quickly. And like you don't necessarily get that with Willie when Matthews is out there, and so it is a little bit better defensively. And I think the offense is just gonna come. Like in general with this team, I think there's a lack of 5-on-5 offense, but like I think it's gonna come with time. And like they're just lucky that they've had such good goaltending and defense that like they can kind of weather through these storms and still put wins on the board. But yeah, I think like they got to pop off sooner or later. We just haven't seen Matthews be who he can be, and like he's proven to be absolutely every season he's played. So I just think that like it's gonna come. And like it's not like he's turned into a totally different player where he's not Ryan O'Reilly now. Like this guy is still a great goal scorer. So
they're just not falling.
Yeah, like I picture if Matthews is doing a fully change, like he's more of a Barkov type guy, then like, yeah, that's fine. But like guys like that still, they get 80 points, 80 to 100, like that's a fine season. If Matthews ends up
but Matthews doesn't pass. He's not Barkov.
No, I don't mean as far as like just exactly what Barkov. I mean in points in total and what the type of player that he wants to become. You know, like, yeah, like more goal scoring for sure. But just like being a more defensive guy, I love that. But like points also have to be part of it. Like he's our number one guy. He gets paid so much money. Like that's part of the deal is, you know, putting lots of goals up on the board. So
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. So let's flip over to the other side. The Leafs scored first tonight. Tavares feeds Max Pacioretty. JT and Patches all season long have just been dynamite. Should they stay together too? Like another 3-point night for Patches. His first 3-point night in like 4 years was with the Leafs earlier this season, and then he gets another one. And I asked you after that, is he going to get another one? And you're like, yeah, he probably will. And you were right. 2 goals, 1 assist tonight. Do we expect this guy to be a major contributor for this team? Like, is Max Pacioretty like you put the banner of secondary scoring, and it's like number 1 name Max Pacioretty. That's the guy, right?
I mean, like that is what he was brought here to do, and I mean, it looked awesome. I think that like, and him and JT are apparently like best friends now. So I think that like it's just working.
Do we just be?
Yeah, do we just become best friends? Do we just both do absolutely everything like a professional athlete and nothing else?
Do you want to do karate in the garage?
Yeah.
Did you see Max Domi has an amulet just like JT now?
No, I didn't. And we're not doing amulet talk.
Okay. Pacioretty.
Yeah. I like it. And actually Bobby McMahon is apparently getting closer to like joining this team. So I'm interested to see what that looks like. Who becomes on the third line? Because I mean, Domi needs help down there, and I don't really care if it's Pacioretty or Bobby McMahon. And I think both of those guys look fine on the second line. It would be nice to see Bobby on a third line, honestly. Like the way his speed, the way him and Minton could maybe develop a little chemistry. I think I would like to see that versus moving Patches down there. But honestly, like I'm happy with both.
Yeah, honestly. So I wonder, like, when Bobby McMahon comes back, who goes out? Is it because we have to drop somebody every single time somebody comes back now? So is it Fraser Minton or is it Nick Robertson?
Oh, you mean like actually off the team? I mean, yeah, that's interesting. I don't really care so much.
Do you think Robertson would pass through waivers?
I mean, I wouldn't claim him. I mean, I guess would a team like tonight though, Anaheim want him for sure. So like probably not. You know, he probably does get claimed by someone. You know, probably not a cup contender, but you know, there's a team out there that's lacking scoring, like Seattle or Utah. Like they'd probably want him. So no, I don't think so. Like, but I think they could always trade him. Like, I think, like, honestly, you could probably get a 4th or a 5th pick right now for him, and who cares? Like, I'm not like, why put him in the lineup and try and get more value for him so he becomes like what, a 3rd or a 2nd round pick type of a return? So like, I don't know. I'm done with Robertson. Get him out of my face. I never want to see him in the lineup again. And like, and we're talking about, are we going to like scratch someone is more like I'm talking about. And like, that's where the decisions get kind of like tough for me. But Robertson's just like, yeah, get off this roster. Yeah, I don't care. Yeah, tough love.
All right, good old Tisdale. Ryan Tisdale. Haven't seen this name in a while. Tizzy, love this guy. Maple Leafs power play is better without Matthews. They try and feed him too much. And he says he thinks Robertson would be worth value in a package at the trade deadline. Which one of those do you want to jump on?
Let's finish with Robertson. I do agree. Like he could be an add-on to like spice something up, but like so could a 4th round pick. You know, like I don't really think it matters. and like a 4th round pick, you're never gonna lose to waivers. So I think it's about like you gotta make a move to so you just don't lose them. And I don't think it's worth sending down Fraser Minton because like I think he's the guy that's actually playing really well. Like see him have a lot of pop like with his stick, with his play. Like I really like his play. So I like, yeah, you got to do something so you're not sacrificing like development for the guys that actually matter. And
so you see a guy like Nick Robertson and the way that he's developed, and he came in like 2020 and played a playoff game with the Maple Leafs, and they didn't trade him at his all-time high, and now he's worth a 4th round pick. Does that concern you for a player like Fraser Minton?
I mean, I might be like he might not even be worth a fourth, but no, I don't like. What do you like? You mean because you get a little bit of flash from someone, and then I don't think that's the case with Minton. Like he's a guy that just has such consistent play. I think it's a reliable play style, and like you see tonight, Leo Carlson on the other side with Anaheim, like that's a guy of the future offensively, and like I just see in the future, like Minton's our guy that we're going to be throwing out against Leo Carlson in 3 years. I think his skill set is just more reliable than goal scorers like come and go. Like you see all the time that there's guys that can put a lot of goals in the net when they play in minors, but it's totally different when he's like you actually get to the NHL, and it's just a different game. And some guys can do it and some guys can't. And I think that's why you see like the better transition from college when they're a goal scorer, because it's a tougher league to play in with older guys. And like, yeah, I just think if you're a scorer in the OHL, it's not like it doesn't mean you're just always going to be that. But and you can pot one in here and there, and maybe an import one in the playoffs. But yeah, I just think when you see a guy like Fraser Minton and the skill sets, it's more. I'm more confident in that going forward.
I can agree with that. I get on board with what you're saying there. They're not the same guy, and he definitely shows that he's got a different set of skills. So I agree with that. So playing the Ducks tonight, the Ducks are one of the worst teams in the league. We had a bunch of good chances. First line was really good. The Tavares line was really good. Willie Bats went out of the air tonight. It looked really nice, good. Yeah. Like the ones together that the line had a good night, but it's the Ducks. Do we read into that at all? Does this win mean any less than another win? Like,
oh, well,
I try to like take it seriously, but like, it's kind of like you're supposed to win these ones, but like they don't always win these ones. So like, does it mean less because they are a shitty team, but does it not mean less because we usually lose to shitty teams?
Yeah, see, like I see it like it's twofold, like I think yes, if this was against like the Florida Panthers, like yeah, of course that means way more to me.
Huge win, yeah.
Yeah, but like it's but at the same time, this is a team that's always on a Thursday. I was giving my friend, actually my future brother-in-law, betting advice tonight because he's like, "How confident are you in the Leafs?" And it's like, well, I'm not even. They might not even show up. Like they might forfeit. It's Thursday against Anaheim, so I don't know. It's hard to say, yeah. But they might come out and give you a solid win. But it is twofold. I am happy about the win more than I should be probably, and part of it is because just I don't know. It's the games. I'm feeling a little indifferent about the team in a way because like you're obviously not seeing high scoring and these crazy comebacks that you've seen from previous years, but like that's part of like building a good team to be good late in the season and in the playoffs. So yes, it might not be like super flashy and everything, but I think that this is how you get like a team that wins a division is like you win on Thursday against Anaheim, like those count. Yeah. And now Florida plays tonight against Vancouver, and hopefully they lose that, and then we're tied again for division. Yeah, like that's kind of how you look at it.
Exactly. And a lot of that comes down to, again, the goaltending. Like this team has a lot of the times like the team has won games for the team and the goaltending has been good enough. And it feels like the goaltending stepped up and won a few of the games this season. And that's really been the difference. I feel like in a game like even tonight, like having Stolarz, he only played one period and then Wall came in. They only let in 2 goals between the pair of them. It was a pretty solid goaltending night. And I think that's the difference in between, losing a game to the Ducks on a Thursday right before Christmas, honestly.
Well, I think we've had two wins in a row where typically though, like that's 4 points that we don't get from the Leafs. Like a game where a goalie stands on his head all game long and you end up winning a game you don't deserve, and a Thursday against Anaheim. So like there's 4 more points than last year. I mean, it obviously doesn't work that way, but that to me, that's how I'm looking at it. Like those are 4 where we probably wouldn't have had.
We're keeping up with the Panthers.
Yeah.
We're almost tied for first in the division. If you don't think that means something in the locker room to these boys when they go in, you're so much closer now. Like when you're in second, nobody's close in third, and there's no way you're catching first. The games start to mean a little less. You start to get a little more complacent. You start to try and do things that aren't going to work when you're under pressure and playing teams who are desperate. And that's just the way that it is. So when you have a chance to claim the division for this far in the season and hopefully continuing in the season, it's going to continually keep the pressure on these guys to bring their best every night. And you want that. Like you want that mentality to run all the way through April and May and June. Do they play hockey in June? I don't know. I've never heard of the Leafs playing
I've never
hockey
heard
in
of
June,
that.
Anyways,
They play baseball.
Robbie Fabry. I want to talk about this guy. Benoit got a hold call on him, and Robbie Fabry had the sell job of the year by pulling Benoit's arm in and just tucking him and saying, he's holding me, when they're basically dirty dancing. I'd like to know, like, is it a mandate now across the league to sell penalties in today's NHL?
Yeah, I think it is, man. I mean, it's funny because I don't watch a lot of soccer, but like from what I hear, soccer is getting less of that, and hockey seems to me like it's getting more of that. So I don't want to get closer to that. I think that that's something that like teammates should deter. Like I know you might get a penalty from or a power play from it, but I mean I hate that shit, and I don't want to see like Nick Robertson draws a lot of penalties, but it's because he can't stay on his friggin' feet. Like if he was diving around, I'd be complaining a lot more about it. Like, yeah, I'm not a big fan. And like, as much as like Michael Bunting was a fan favorite, like he wasn't like, I hated those parts of his game, you know, like I didn't like that we replaced Hyman with a guy like that. And like, I more like the Matthew Nyes that we got going now, because like, that's a guy that like, I can't see Matthew Nyes ever trying to do that. And that's the way I want it.
No, oh my God, I could never see Matthew Nyes taking and that, I just feel like there's so many players who are maybe not physical. They're definitely tougher than me. Okay, they'd probably all kick my ass, but at the end of the day, they're not tough guys out there, and they do absolute fucking sell jobs on like, oh, the stick went near my face, or the guy put his hand near my waist. Sexual assault, he calls, and he flops to the ice. It's like, come on, man. Like, pick yourself up and play the game of hockey. Like, if a guy touches you, it doesn't mean you can just cry for a penalty. And I really, really hate that. The Robbie Fabry one, especially, like, one thing that bothers me is when somebody puts their hand around somebody and the guy who's getting fucked with grabs the stick. Like, you're like, and then there's a penalty there. Like, you know, I love it when they call him for grabbing the stick, but there was no call for grabbing the stick tonight because he didn't grab the stick. He grabbed his arm and tucked it under and said, look, he's holding me. He's holding me. Like, it didn't happen. That was false. It was not a thing that happened. It was a fallacy, and you made it up, and now he gets a penalty for it. And you can clearly see it on the replay. And it's like, what a sell job from him.
And they let Marchand lick people. That's hilarious. I mean, I feel like there was a point, if it was, I think it was last year, or maybe it was the year before, where they were giving more of those penalties for embellishment. But I don't like, I feel like you just don't see it much anymore. Like they either make the call or they don't make the call. And like,
but
yeah,
have you
I
ever
think
seen an embellishment call without a dive?
No, are you without it being both, you mean?
Like I've never seen like a dot. No, like I've never seen like somebody hold, like I guess like holding a stick, but like I would have never seen an embellishment call for something that happened to Benoit tonight, where somebody clearly makes the penalty happen. Like they're forcing it. They're not trying to push the guy off and get away. They're trying to pull him in and say, look how bad he's hurting me. Call a penalty, please, Mr. Referee. Like,
yeah, I mean, I definitely have seen guys get the embellishment penalty, but it's normally like you get both. I forget what it's called, but coincidental penalties. Like you get like each team gets one. You know, I'm not sure I've ever seen someone like not get called a penalty and you just get the embellishment or the unsportsmanlike or whatever they want to call it. I'm not sure I've ever seen that, which is like that's the call that should be made. Yeah.
Which is weird. But I also haven't seen that call made unless somebody actually falls to the ice.
Yeah, yeah.
What I'm trying to say. Like,
just like the hold
I've never seen
really
an embellishment call. Yeah, no, it's like he pulled him. You know, I've heard of holding the stick penalty, but that's not an embellishment penalty. But I've never heard he grabbed his arm and made him hold him penalty. He embellished the hold.
Yeah, you don't get many of the holding the stick either, like because a lot of guys they like because you're allowed to push the stick away, and so like the difference between grabbing it and not, it's like it's kind of like the eye poke in the MMA. It's like they don't seem to penalize it too much, and to be just because it's so close to having a closed fist. Like, I think that's part of it. I don't mind them not doing that one because like John Tavares does that all the time. We would get so many penalties on John Tavares. But I just the flopping one. Like, I think that's where they should crack down. Like because it's embarrassing. Like, this is hockey. This is, you need to keep like
it's supposed to be a physical sport. Here. Like, you're supposed to hit people. They're supposed to be rough and tough. It's not basketball.
Yeah, and not just rough and tough, but like, I don't know. I feel like there's some sort of like a code. Like we don't do that shit. Like, but it seems to be coming more and more into the game.
I guess you're not wrong. All right, so last topic on the docket here tonight. Your boy Connor Timmins facilitates a nice goal tonight.
He did, yeah.
Tell me how you feel about Connor Timmins.
Like, it's funny that we were like, I'm not a fan of Connor Timmins. I'm not sure if that is a secret to this podcast or not, but that is my true feeling. He just bugs me all the time. The funny thing is, like, on the night that I'm going to tear a strip off to Connor Timmins, he actually has doesn't touch the puck much. And he actually, when he did, he made a decent play. So, I mean, we'll save it for a night when he has his 3 giveaways in one night. But yeah, it's funny, like, to fill in the viewers here, Webby and I were talking, and I just threw out that Timmins is a turnover machine, and like I just kind of went in on him for a second, comparing him to Dermott, and that I wouldn't want either of these guys on my playoff team. And then it was a shock to Webby, and I was just like, "What is?
I didn't realize you hated Timmins."
Yeah, so like I thought it was very obvious I didn't like this guy. Like, I'm always preaching for Myers to be in the lineup over him, but I guess I'm just not as like. And part of it is he's kind of a fringy guy. Like, it's part of like, I'll go in on Matthews or Nylander or Marner more than I will like Dewar or someone who's like, a fringe type player. Like, I don't know if it's just part of it. Doesn't matter. It like none of them are watching or listening, so I'm not sure why it matters. But yeah, so I think that's cool. Part of it. But it is funny that like it just for all of the Leafs talk that we do, and you were shocked by like a pretty strong opinion.
Like, why are you just hating on Connor Timmins now? Like, you really hate this guy all of a sudden. It felt like obviously he's not the best defender on the team. Like, we have a great defense core now. So like, you're not going to say he's one of the middle or the best. He's definitely like the worst. He's just the same as Philip Myers or even like Marshall Rafai, or like, he's just another guy. But he's puck moving guy. And I thought, he's just fine for what he's doing. Certainly you could upgrade from him, but I didn't hate him.
Right.
And all the slander today, I'm like, okay, where did this come from? Did Jonas Siegel release a podcast or something just trashing him and giving you every reason? And you're like, you know what? Confirmation bias. I fucking hate this guy.
No, like when you
absolutely hated him today. And I was like, you know what? He is fringe, but like, so is a couple other guys, just like your boy, Philip Myers.
The thing that's different, and I think the part that bugs me is like you're like, when a defenseman is okay at being offensive, but you don't excel at the defensive part, like that bugs me way more than a guy that is better at defense. Yeah, and like better at defense, but like is not so hot at the offensive part of the game. I'll rally behind that guy every day. So I mean, maybe it is like a flawed perception on the game, especially in a game today. But that is how I think it feels to me. And effort is everything. And Philip Myers brings it, man. That guy's got a slap
I'm not
shot.
going to let you tell me that Philip Myers in his own end is that much better than Connor Timmins in his own end, though. Especially if the puck lands on his stick during puck retrievals and fishing the puck out and passing it. And it's like, it's definitely, Philip Myers is not always the greatest guy to have doing that. So it's like, they're both fringe guys. They're definitely not the best. We could definitely use another guy down there to do that better. And that's what Yanni Hakanpää was supposed to kind of hide, right? But that guy's got like a quarter of a knee on him or something.
He's got worse knees than me.
Like, what did he? I can't remember. Matchstick knees. That's what Nick Kyprios called it. Matchstick knees. He's got.
Right.
But like, Yanni Hakanpää was supposed to hide these kinds of things, and Connor Timmins wasn't supposed to play every night. But then you've got on the other side that Craig Berube, who's Craig Berube, as the old school guy he is, seems to like Connor Timmins.
No, I would disagree. I think he uses Connor Timmins as little as he possibly has to. And it's like we see that when the guy is out of the lineup, like McCabe, then
Well,
he has to be pushed up and get more time. But I feel like tonight he gets the best moments ever. He starts in the offensive zone whenever like he has short shifts and the end of the game he's not really out there. So I think he does
but I mean,
him.
like he doesn't like him less than Philip Myers, who's our other
No.
option.
Well, I think that's also part of like Benoit being the left defenseman, and none of them are as good as Benoit. But if Benoit was a puck mover, then like I think there would be a strong argument for. But I think Myers would be in the lineup at that point, you know.
Yeah.
So I think
And it
part
would all
of
make sense.
Yeah. So I think that it's Benoit is the problem here. He's too good to pull out of the lineup and find
Learn how to pass the puck.
Yeah, honestly, like I mean, he's a third liner. You can't ask too much. It seems like if on the third pairing, like you can either do one or the other, you're not going to be able to do both. And so I just have to come with grips with that. But I'm always going to tear apart the offensive guy versus the guy that like puts in a ton of effort in his own zone. That's how it is.
That's totally fair. You got anything else on this game before we get out of here?
Just Rich Clune being on the bench of Anaheim, I thought that was awesome. Rich Clune's always had a little soft spot in my heart because he's been the leader for the Marlies. He's always every spring training, I'm thinking baseball, but every training camp, he comes in and he actually tries to make the team, even though like 10 years previously he hadn't made the team. I just love that guy, and obviously he didn't make a ton of money in playing in the NHL because he was always on minor contracts. So hopefully he can become a really good coach. Like you see, a lot of the tough guys become coaches. You know, it seems that way.
That way, eh?
Yeah,
it does. It does seem that way. Yeah, you're not wrong.
I think part of it is because they
Rich
didn't
Clune,
make as much as the higher paid
I thought about that too. It's like,
Yeah.
he spent a lot of time in the AHL making 50, 70, 80 grand a year. It's like, that is not enough to retire on.
No, you need
I
a
can tell
job.
you right now, that is not enough
Yeah.
to retire on. You do have to
Yeah.
continue to work. And
Yeah.
you know what I was thinking? He might make more now as an assistant coach than he did as a player, which
It'd
is
be close.
fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's probably not close. He probably does. Yeah,
He probably makes like 125K. Yeah,
yeah,
something like
yeah.
that.
That's crazy. He just got a promotion, and now he lives in LA. So.
And now he lives in LA, to the beach.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So what Red Wings on Saturday? What's going to be the final score, CP?
I don't know. The Red Wings are weird. You never really know what you're gonna get from them. I'm gonna I don't know. Let's go with a 3-1. Although for the Leafs, I wouldn't pick against the Leafs. That'd be crazy. The Leafs though hate a 2-goal lead. They gave them up twice tonight. Like they play much better. And this isn't just a tonight thing. Like I've said for a long time. Like when they have 2 or 3 goals, like they just change the way that they play dramatically. And I'd rather them be down 1 and they still bring it in the third period. Like the third period was the best tonight. If they were up 2, they would have come out like dog shit tonight. So or in the third, they would have come out like dog shit. So yeah, 3-1, but not likely. Probably 3-2 again.
All right, 3-2. You heard it. Put it on there. Bet 365, DraftKings, whatever you use, whatever we use, everybody uses. Hit your bets because CP's the guy, and when you hit it, send money this way. But that's a wrap for now.
This is not betting advice.
Do not take this betting advice. And yeah.
Play the disclaimer.
Anyways, that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us for Split the Defense, Leafs post game presented by Laforest Electrical Contractors, serving the Kingston and surrounding area since 2004. Leave us a comment if you haven't already. We will answer you. Hit that like button, subscribe on YouTube, and listen to us in podcast form anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Thanks
Until
for
next
joining
time.
everyone too.
Peace.
Follow the boys on Twitter at STDPWebby, at Craig D. Pearce, and at Ted_is_show.